Good evening, guys. Like I said, I'm seeing some new stuff here on the blab. Do you want to notify your? Yes, tell him. Let me tell a little birdie on tweet. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Get Your Life Back with Cheryl. I usually have my partner, Michael, but he's only able to come on Saturdays. So I just wanted to come on and talk about some good stuff that happens when you're trying to achieve your goal. So I'm going to just wait until some folks join in. I see I had 8 people sign up. Let me see who's actually available tonight, because I know sometimes we jump from not scope, I'm thinking about Periscope. We go from blab to blab. But this is all great because I'm going to record this so the replays will be available. And I'm also going to load it up to YouTube. So that's a good thing. Watch it again. Never know who we may inspire. Hi, Marion Brooks. How are you? Thanks for joining in. Trying to get some more folks to join in. Welcome to Cheryl's Get Your Life Back Inspirational Life Coaching. I'm an inspirational coach. If you want to know more about me, you can go to getyLifeback.com, where I help people deal with not only reaching their goals, but all the stuff in the middle, what I want to talk about tonight, the journey and trying to reach your goals, all the stuff that happens in the middle that try to sabotage or, sabotage your dreams and your goal and your focus, and how to get around that and what to do when you're going through the process of trying to accomplish goals. And then at the end, latter part of the broadcast, I'm going to open it up, but I kind of want to get some points off because one of my battles is trying to get things out before I forget them. It's probably because I'm, in my 40s now, so I'm having little challenges. So sometimes me and my friends, we'll start talking. All of us seem to be going through the same thing, and we try to hurry up and get our little points across before we forget them. It's hilarious. But anyway, let me see if anybody else is going to join in. And I just want to hit a couple of points, and then I am through. And I was going to postpone it, but when I saw 8 people subscribe, I said, ooh, I don't want to be inconsistent. So let me be consistent. That's all part of the journey. All part of being successful. Journey to your overarching goal. And I'm just going to talk about some real points that we need, that, when you focus on life coaching with people, you're helping them meet certain goals. You're helping them to walk out actionable and quantifiable goals, steps towards their goal. But I want to talk about the journey, what happens in the middle when you feel stuck, when you're lost, when you're actually experiencing trauma or certain things that you're going through, and it looks like your vision is blurry, and then you start to give up. And just kind of share a little bit of my testimony, what I did and what helped me to propel towards my overarching goal and to accomplish a lot of the things that I wanted to accomplish. So I'm going to talk about, the haters. I'm going to talk about getting away from the negative people, learning how to endure, finding meaning in your journey, because a lot of things that we go through are actually lessons that we learn in life. So they really they empower us. They give us stamina, they give us the ability. And so we end up becoming overcomers, and I'm talking about the education piece about it, how it's important to be mentored or align yourself up with like individuals who are either going towards and I don't have to be in the same area, but somebody who's determined, somebody who's full of integrity, somebody who's tenacious about accomplishing things that they want to accomplish. And it's so important to surround yourself in that type of environment, because if you don't, and if you're in an environment that's very negative and volatile and just down and sad and oppressed, it's hard to push past that. So if you can't push it, if you find yourself in a situation where you can't push yourself, then you need some pushers. You need those cheerleaders. You need those folks in your corner telling you you can make it. Those who can see your destiny, those who's not willing to just hold on to where you've been through, to your past, but they see where you are and they see where you're going. And so they don't hold on to your past failures and mistakes and things that they remember of you. And that's why I love the scripture when it said Jesus was unable to be effective in his own hometown. And a lot of times when you think about it, it's true. A lot of times we hold on to how you were when you were young or the mistakes that you made. So we can't see the gifting. We can't see the talent. We can't see the ability that you actually have. We may see it, but then we don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to give you credit. We don't want to esteem you. We don't want to appraise you. We want to hold on to the old you and to your past failures. And so that's the kind of stuff you got to come out from among and be ye separate, you know, and walk away from, because that stuff is like baggage, it's weight, it's like it's a burden, it's oppressive, it's depressive, you know. And so that's the stuff I kind of want to talk about a little bit. And being accountable, talking about the self-sabotaging spirit. Sometimes we carry that within ourselves, and giving examples of that. And then just asking some quick questions where you can interact. And I'm done, basically. But I'm just waiting to see who else is going to join in. I see a whole lot of subscribers. But I can just kind of go into it. But again, I'm an inspirational life coach, so I help to inspire, push people into their purpose. I can go in, and when I work with people, go in, and as we talk and as we build a coaching relationship or a discovery relationship, finding out those things that you have passions for, and you really need someone to kind of help you move in the right direction where you're actually walking into that purpose, you know, reaching that overarching goal. And we need those individuals in our life, and it don't have to be a life coach. It can be somebody in your family. It could be a friend. It can be a colleague, and it could be somebody in the church that you go, or whatever. It can be that individual, but we all need somebody. You know, we try to do things alone, but the truth is it's hard trying to do stuff by yourself. And I don't care who you are, how strong you are, what your title is. You need somebody. It don't have to be a whole posse. It don't have to be a group of people, but you need that one or two individuals in your corner. I mean, the smartest person in the world knows that they need someone to kind of help them actualize what they're actually trying to do. You know, if you're a corporation, you need a board to help you govern your business properly. You need other people. You need interventions. You need other minds. You need people that have other talents, other abilities. Trying to do everything by yourself is setting yourself up for failure. And then you're going to end up sabotaging what you're trying to do. And then you really be stuck. You'll be stuck because you got in your own way, and you don't want to get in your own way. So, you know, be smart. Everybody's not a writer. Everybody's not a strategist. Everybody is not computer savvy. So you need people like that who can do that for you, who are strong in those areas, who are gifted and talented in those areas. And so you can focus on what you're passionate, what you are gifted to do. And, you know, that's when you're most effective. When you're operating in your purpose, that's when you're most effective, because it comes easy to you. You know, it's like second nature, because you have been empowered. You have been anointed in that area to do what you're called to do. So get folks who are anointed in their area to do those things. So that way you can put all your energy and all your time and your research and your passion into what you like doing. I like to inspire. That's what I do. I'm good at doing that. Even when I'm not trying to do that. Did you hear that? Even when I'm not trying to inspire, I end up doing it anyway. I can't help it. It's part of my DNA. So I took that, and that was something that gave me insight on what is it that I want to do. Part of the journey. Finding your meaning, finding your purpose. I love to push people towards being positive, towards healing emotionally, psychologically, and dealing people. So what I do on a daily basis as well is I do intensive in-home counseling and life coaching, where I go into people's homes. And this is what gave me my model for what I do. Inspirational life coaching, but not only online, but actually going into people's homes to help bring maybe cohesiveness, to bring more effective communication, teaching the different communication styles, and helping each individual in the family understand everybody from their lens, not just from your lens, but from everybody else's lens, teaching that you may not agree, but you can learn to disagree and bring more of an understanding. At the end of the day, even in a family setting, I tell them, what is the goal for this family? What is your guys' overarching goal for the family? Is it to prove who's right and who's wrong? Or is it to bring more cohesiveness? And then setting up the steps. One step may be, I'm going to learn to listen the next time my spouse or my parent or whoever else talk to me before I interject and not even hear what the person. That is one thing that a person can do that's tangible and that's actionable to help bring forth cohesion. So cohesion. So that is a step working towards a goal. So things like that. And I love doing that. And it is very challenging because you're dealing with a lot of personalities, but it's awesome when folks start seeing the outcome and realize that they're all working together to build healthy relationships, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, even on your job, at home, in your business, building healthy relationships. When you're trying to sell a product, when you're trying to build your business, when you're trying to build customers and clients, it's all about building relationships in the beginning. When I'm working with clients, whether I'm counseling or coaching, the beginning of the therapeutic process is all about getting to know each other, understanding the individual and letting them know some things about me, making them feel that I can be relatable to them. Even if I haven't walked in their shoes, I'm still on some level transparent where it makes them feel comfortable, because again, now you're trying to build trust. You're trying to build trust. You're trying to get your client to trust in you, your counselee to trust in you, that friend, whoever it is, to trust in that you care about them, that you're there to serve them. You're not there coming from I'm the expert and you're the one who doesn't know anything, that Jezebel type personality, that domineering spirit. Well, I have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. You know what I tell people I work with? You know what? You help me to help you. You give me information that I can use, and then I can come on and then I can help you. So, hello, Kelly Kinder Foster. Did she come? And she did subscribe. But so that's what it's about at the end of the day. Hey, Michael Chase. Thanks for joining in. So dealing with that. So the first point I had to put my little notes down here so I won't forget, because I want to stay on focus. Part of my goal is learning to stay on point and stay focused on points, because I don't want to miss anything, because this is leading somewhere and I want to help somebody today. So journey to overarching goal, learning in the journey. And that's what it's all about, right? Taking life lessons that we go through, journeys, and learning from them, coming out to be a better person than you were before, So what is the overarching goal and why? So that's the first question you ask yourself. What is your overarching goal? What is it that you want to do at the end of it? You have present goals, you have short-term, and you have the long-term goals. But what is that overarching goal? Because a lot of those short steps in those present goals or those short-term goals is actually leading you to your overarching goal. And you may have more than one. So I'm not saying limit it to one overarching goal, but I'm just giving an example. So what is that? Point one, understand that you will encounter, like I spoke a little while ago, you may encounter things. You don't know what you're going to encounter while you're trying to reach your goal. This is why the journey is so important. This is why we need to encourage each other while you in your journey, so you won't mess up. And because you can get right to the edge, right? And I know a lot of you been there. You're right there about to take off. I've been there. You taking off and something comes wham and kind of knocks you back down again. And you're sitting there. And so the trick of the enemy is to get you to wallow in your present temporal situation. And so now your focus is not on your goal anymore. Your focus is now attuned to what you're going through, your environment, your situation. And if you're around the wrong people, they'll be focused on that too. And so those people you don't need to be around all the time, because you know what? You won't get to where you need to go, because they'll constantly pull you back in to where they think you should be. Okay. So understanding that you may encounter during your journey all kinds of situations. So if that's the time to be built up. And what it takes to be built up: education, research, getting around like-minded individuals, those people that you can rely on, that you can trust, and those people that'll say, you know what, you don't have time for this. They will remind you of your overarching goal. That's the wonderful thing about being around the right individuals, because you may forget, because you may be stuck in your middle right now, in your valley experience, in your desert storm. But if you have people that you are accountable to, you got to have those individuals. They will remind you, Cheryl, aren't you trying to get this book out? You said you wanted to write this book. And so you need to write this book. maybe what you're going through is something to put in the book. Look, I am the repurposed queen. I would take something I might have written down before, because you know what, and many of you may have experienced that. A lot of things that you're encountering is actually helping to push you. It depends on how your perspective is now. You got to change your mind. We talked about it in our last blab before, when I was blabbing here with my partner, Michael. We talked about the renewing of the mind, and that was our first broadcast. As a matter of fact, you have to change your perspective. You have to see the glass half full, not the glass half empty. And that's the problem with many of us. I just asked my last client, I said, how do you see? She didn't understand what I said, but I want to throw it out there. Are you the type of individual that sees the glass half full or see the glass half empty? And she said, what do you mean? I said, for example, you find the positive in all situations, in things. You can find some hope, some light in a situation. And she was honest and said, well, I've seen the glass half empty. She was honest. She's that type of individual. So, okay, good. I got some information to work with. This is where my gifting comes in now, because I'm gonna help you see the glass half full. And I'm going to point out some things to help you in your situation and to see things in a different light, to enhance the quality of life that you're actually living. So understanding, I was inspired again when I read Jeremiah chapter 4, talking about how when they came out from bondage and being in exile, and they came back to the cities and they had to build a wall. And I love it, because part of the going through the process of in your journey and staying focused is that mindset. Again, is that, and you're going to hear this over and over again from many people who is trying to help you achieve something. It's that mindset that you have to change. If you do not change your mindset, you will be stuck, and you will stay in a place of stuck. So you have to change that mindset in the journey. What I like about that scripture, when they're building, it talked about how they all were in unity and they all had a mind to work. Once your mind is set, no matter what may, and some things may happen where, you know what, it may hinder you for a moment, but don't get lost or let it deceive you to give up, because sometimes it's a trick, sometimes it's a test. You don't know. And you know what? The positive side of that is it's producing something in you that's going to make you more powerful, make you more stronger. Come on, this is finding the strength in it. Hello, somebody. Thank you, Michael. It's true. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you more powerful. And so see that side of it. What are you producing? Again, goes back. What are you learning from the lesson? What are you learning from the journey? What is in it for you? Part of it is building up your character. Maybe you're a person who procrastinates. I was one. Hello, somebody. Now, there's a lot of areas where I'm very tenacious and I'm going to go for it. That's my personality. But then there's other areas where I procrastinate. Sometimes it's from being in the hardship or a similar hardship again and again. And it's like, my God. But I got to be mindful not to get stuck in that. So my perspective has changed from this too shall pass. You know, there's these famous quotes. A lot of people use them. A lot of coaches give them to their clients, something to inspire you while you trying to navigate, while you trying to push, while you trying to move forward. And that's one of mine. This too shall pass. This is not the end. This is not the trajectory. This is just temporary. And so I have to see as temporary. Now, let me learn the lesson and the wisdom while I'm in this place. Amen. Moving to the next step. Anything worth the trip and worth the journey will help you to endure trials and hardship, because it's worth it, because you see the value in what you're trying to do and what the next level, you're leveling up to another place, but you see the value in it. And maybe the value could be, it's going to help you become a better person so you can better serve somebody else at the end when you get to that point. So point one with that is the journey produces character building, knowledge, and it helps you to become more empathic. Becoming more empathic is a type of individual that when you're helping people, you're not seeing things from a tunnel vision. You're actually able to help that individual, but first you have to step into their world, or whoever it is you're trying to serve, or whatever it is you're trying to do. Writing a book, if it's a purposeful book where you're trying to help an individual say how to start a business, That's still serving. That's still helping somebody. You have to be transparent enough to let them know that you understand the hardships in the middle when you're trying to write that book, when you're trying to put everything together. Folks need that help. I needed that help. I spoke to individuals who actually wrote a book and who was successful. How did you do it? What avenues did you take? So they was able to, it made me feel good to talk with them because they was able to identify with me and I was able to identify with them. They can tell me their journey in writing their book, what it took for them to write their book, what platforms are available. Thanks for joining in, Debt Challenger. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna have to follow Debt Challenger. But I need a financial coach. What it took for them to bring that book together, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute because that was one of my goals. One of my overarching goals was I got to write my book. I've been pregnant with my book for years. But again, to my earlier point I made, everything that I've gone through in my journey actually empowered me and gave me the tools I needed to complete my book. There's some things I had to go through for me to write this book because I had to share it in the book, because I had to put it inside the book because it was going to empower somebody else. So understand, when you're going through the journey, you become empowered so you can have the tools that you need to help somebody else become empowered, by the way, because I've learned one thing when I went to grad school from one of my professors whom I loved. She inspired me. She said that we can't empower nobody, but we can give them the tools so they can apply the tools and empower themselves. So guess what? You give people the tools they need, because at the end of the day, they have to make those tools applicable and they have to apply it to their lives. That's how you become empowered, because I can't empower you. I can't make you do anything. You can't make people do stuff, but you give them what they need. Give them the steps. Share your testimony. Let them know, yes, it's hard. People told me it took them years before they wrote that book. I said, okay, I'm not by myself. Because right about now, when I wrote the book, it came out in 2010, it was like 8 years. But see, my book was different. I understood that my book was a journey, because in the beginning of my book, I prophesied that at the beginning of the book, I didn't have no diploma. I didn't have a high school diploma or anything, but I spoke life into myself and I prophesied that when I finish this book, I will have had my master's degree. Didn't he do it? We're going to get to that in a minute, because I found value in my overarching goal and I knew that it was purposeful and I knew that it was going to be a blessing to somebody else, because this message may not be for everybody. Some of you may be on another level, but there's always somebody coming out the gate. There's always somebody who wants to learn, how do you get started? Somebody at the grassroots level. Somebody is not even in the grassroots level. Hey, Coach Pam, thanks for joining in. Thank you so much for your support. But somebody's at that level. So people every day are getting ideas, and sometimes they just need you to meet them at level 1. How can I get from point A to point B? So that's what I'm here to do. So this is for those individuals. Again, you're in the middle. And that's a hard place to be, in the middle sometimes, because that's when all kinds of stuff comes at you. And I'm telling you, and I always say it could be a trick for the enemy to be in a hurry to make your vision blurry, so you can't see it anymore. And then you start getting that negative mindset where you don't even believe it anymore. You just give up. I've been there for a quick minute though, because I know I have the gift of faith, and I'm like, we gonna see this thing through here. Okay, so I'm trying not to get in my little preaching moment. Okay, so that is the journey being worth it. We can't start out. Oh, I want to talk about how we can start out on fire, ready to go. Like I said, you ready to go. Now you got to be careful not to develop a bipolar spirit. I'll make up some names, because bipolar, you're on one end of the pole and on the other end. So, and I deal with bipolar. I have clients that struggle with that, and it's okay. You have successful people who deal with depression. I didn't even know. I was watching Judge Lynn Tola from divorce court, and she did an intervention when she went into somebody's home, and she was so transparent. She opened up to them and said, you know what? I battled depression. She talked about how she was crazy, how her husband was almost about to take off, because sometimes she would get in these fits and she'll just be going off when he comes through the door. And he couldn't understand it until she finally went to see somebody and realized that you are dealing with depression. And so, you know what? That was still empowering to her, because now she know, I need to deal with this. It doesn't mean it's the end of my life, but it's something I need to deal with. So self-awareness is very important while you're in the journey of reaching your goal. Be self-aware. Understand your pitfalls. Understand where your weaknesses are. Understand all of that stuff. It doesn't mean it's the end of a thing. It just means that you need to deal with those things, because you know what? You're trying to be better near the end of your journey. Amen. Or when you get into that goal. So you may start out on fire, but somewhere in the middle, sometimes we can become discouraged. We can become burned out. There is such a thing called burnout. There's a such thing called compassion burnout, where you just don't care anymore. And a lot of counselors get this. You no longer care anymore. It's like you just lost it. I do parent coaching, and a lot of times parents come out and tell me flat out, Cheryl, I don't have it in me. I know my child's only 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old. I don't have it in me. When they start crying, I just want to go crazy. I want to throw them through the wall. So what I come in and say, you know what? Let's set up some interventions that we can use to help you. Maybe you need to go away for a moment, but I'm not going to get into that right now, because that's getting into when you really working with clients and people, unless you're that counselor, you're that coach. But there's a such thing as compassion and empathy burnout. So you have to find things to restore that joy, whatever makes you feel good, so you can get back on fire. You want to get back on fire. You want to get your zeal back. You want to become zealous again. It's easy. When you're going through stuff, it's easy to lose that. But if you're in the right environment, see, one of the things you can do is find a support group. A support group can be your church, whatever religious entity you're part of, something to inspire you. But me being a Christian life coach, getting around believers who have faith. Because that's what church is. It's a community of believers coming together to edify and build up one another in the most holy faith, coming together. So when one brother or sister feel weak, somebody can hold that individual up. Somebody can say, you know what, I got you. Somebody can say, you know what, cry, get it out. And let's get back on. Let's get back on this thing. They're accountable to you, and you're accountable to them, because they're not going to see you fall. They want to see you achieve at the end of the day. Those are people you need to be around. And that's also part of the journey as well. Finding those like-minded individuals, those who see into your vision, and those who are supportive, those who won't let you give up, no matter what you're going through. I had to go through it myself. I'm going to get to that in a minute when I share my testimony. So finding meaning and purpose in the journey. I kind of covered that already, but finding some meaning in it. Again, finding out what you're learning while you're in it, and how you can use that to be a blessing to somebody else. Education can be in any form, whether you online, you on Google, you researching things to meet your goal. So your goal is to become a nutrition. You educating yourself. You going some school, learning nutrition, educating yourself online, anything you're trying to do, like going back to writing that book, look at different ways. So educate yourself, talk to people who've done it. And one thing I've learned from experts is find people who've been successful at what you're trying to do. It's okay to talk to people who I don't say dismiss people who's on the same level you are. That's not always right, because you can help each other. You can empower somebody, find somebody. Hope prayerfully, pray about it, that you'll find the right individual who can actually help you, and y'all could be on the same level. Know what? That empowers you as well, because you helping each other find resources. You're also helping each other to stay accountable to one another. There's a lot of power in that. So don't dismiss. I'm not quick to say, well, get somebody who's on another level and do it better than you. There's nothing wrong with finding, as long as that person has drive, tenacity, determination, faith, focus, you still can learn from them. Just because they haven't got to that plateau yet, or they haven't reached that overarching goal yet, do not mean that they can't help you. It may be something in that person's spirit that may inspire you to keep on going. So don't dismiss. I like when the Bible says, don't despise small beginnings. Don't despise it, because it's part of your process and it's part of the growth. And you know what? You will appreciate your overarching goal at the end of the day, because you're going to look back and you're going to look at the journey and say, wow, my God, look what I've been through. And it's going to be like a dream, because some of us went through some hell and high water. I went through divorce. I went through homelessness. I mentioned before, I didn't have a high school diploma when I started out, but one of my overarching goals was to get my degree and get my diploma. One of my overarching goals was to write this book, let me out, and see everything I went through. I talk about it in my book, Let Me Out. All those things that I desire, those things that when I was a child, I wanted to do, but things in life deterred me from that. Or I didn't have people to pour into me at that time because maybe I was in an environment that was suppressed, depressed, oppressed. And so I'm not even blaming the environment. You know what? Because they have their own stuff. So you got to get out of that too. You got to get out. When you're in a journey, you got to get the blaming out of your spirit. Don't blame where my mother didn't do. And it's true. You are affected by your environment. I'm a social worker, and you're affected by your environment. You're affected by individuals. So you are affected by those things, but it doesn't have to be your outcome, and it doesn't have to dictate your destiny. Your past don't have to dictate your destiny. It doesn't. And people neither. So get all of that. So maybe part of your journey is to do a purging. It's to do a cleansing. Get all that stuff out because it'll come out. You'll think you suppress that stuff. And I see this happen with a lot of leaders thinking they've overcome stuff because they didn't deal with things. And then when they get to a certain platform, you start seeing their issues come out. The Bible even says out of the heart flows the issues of life. So what you see is their issues flying out. And I'm like, wow. And even them, they get a revelation. I'm not over this thing. I might have been violated. I went through that too. Been molested. I had to work and heal through a lot of emotional, psychological things, but because I am a believer, I wasn't by myself, but I still needed individuals who either been through what I've been through or who were those people who to inspire me and who saw into me, you know. So at the end of the day, you do need that stuff. So I'm saying to even accomplish all those things, I had to surround myself in a group. And so one of my groups, of course, was church. Having wonderful leaders, pastors who were successful at doing things, and they always poured into people's lives and spoke positive things into people. And that's what you need. You need that building up. You need that building up at that time. But let me tell you, so I'm going through the divorce, having to leave from now I'm seeing my purpose at this point when I'm kind of going through my divorce. But then that comes along and it's like bam, boom, pow, you know. Now I had to start all over again. No diploma, all over again. So I had to start from scratch. And so I was renting a house with my ex-husband. I had to leave that with my 5-year-old daughter, and we had to move into our own apartment. Things got real tight, y'all. I'm getting ready to it got real tight. And I had to leave that place. But God is so awesome. Because if you believe, he will give you what you need. Oh my God, let me tell you. So one of my things, or one of my talents, or my things that I do is I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And I've done hair since I was a child, since I was a teenager, but since I was a kid, always doing hair, growing up in the projects, doing hair, braids, weaving, perms, relaxers, everything. That was me. Not knowing back then that I was an entrepreneur. That's a whole nother broadcast. But so that was what I used at that time to try to make ends meet. And, you know, that's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a competitive market. It's a competitive industry, you know, the beauty industry, doing hair. But I was working in a salon, and this woman came in. She was a minister. She was a pastor. And she sat down. And because she had a prophetic mantle on her life, she don't know me from nowhere. So you can't tell me God ain't real. I'm sitting way in a corner, minding my business. This woman comes in to get her head done, looks at me, and she just spoke my whole life. You just went through a breakup. You just had your heart broken. I'm not sitting there looking sad and going, oh, woe is me, and my husband just left me. I wasn't sitting there with that look. I was sitting down waiting for my client, all nice, minding my business. But I'm saying God will send people, God will send people. Let me just say, there's divine connections. Pay attention while you're in the journey. Don't miss it. Again, I talked about self-sabotaging. Don't miss out on your blessing. Keep your eyes open, because you will meet people in your journey that God has assigned to you, like a divine appointment for you to meet, like the woman at the well. That was an assignment. That she met Jesus at the well, but I ain't gonna go in there right now. But that blessed my life when I was kind of going through that situation. But this woman looked at me and she started telling me all the things that I've just gone through. And so what was so wonderful, she gave me all of her contacts. If you need anything, give me a call. Give me a call. And so she didn't know that I was about to lose my apartment. Now I'm living in my apartment, things getting real tight. My floor caved in my kitchen. So my landlord had to serve notice and say, I'm sorry, I have to serve you notice that you and your daughter have to move out because they have to fix the whole floor. So I'm like, my God, what am I going to do now? God already put this woman in my life. And I remember this woman gave me her number. And she told me she had a transitional home and that she was a pastor and that they feed people every day. I called her up. And let me tell you, God made a way that he didn't see me out in the street. And that may be somebody else's journey on here. I don't know. That may be somebody else's journey. So it was homelessness that I experienced, but I wasn't out in the street, but I still was out. I lost my job. No, actually, I got laid off from my job, but still I lost my job. I needed a place to live. I got my little daughter with me. You know, you want to be example to your children, but that's just things that you go through in a journey that's unforeseen. You don't even know what you're going to encounter. But I'm talking about being empowered while you're in it. And because my perspective was positive, I seen the positive in that. I could have looked at the situation and said, I ain't never going to get there. Now I'm dealing with homelessness. Now I ain't got nowhere to live. I'm never going to reach my goal. My mindset was, it automatically turned into, you know what? And this too shall pass again. God put this person in my life to help me. But guess, you know, and those of you who are believers on here, you know that all things work together for the good to them who love the Lord and who are called according to his purpose. While I was living in the transitional home, God used me there. Because some of you were on here when I talked about being empathetic, being empathic, you know, being able to understand people from where they are. Because I had that natural skill and ability, I was able to minister to people. Now, come on now, that looks crazy to some people. They don't get it. Like I said, just because somebody is not on a higher level than you doesn't mean that they can't help you and empower you. Because it didn't take, going through what I went through didn't take away from what God called me to be. It didn't take away from my overarching goal. It didn't take away from my purpose, but I was just going through something. It would be injustice. It would do a person injustice, or it would be a lie for somebody to tell you that that you don't go through nothing when you're trying to reach certain things in life, when you're trying to achieve certain places in life. You know what? You will go through stuff, and that's the real stuff you need to hear. And you need to hear, how can I get through this journey without fainting, without giving up? So even in the middle of living in a transitional home, I was able to minister to women and to men who just came out of jail, prison, formerly incarcerated, women who had their children taken from them in foster care, women who was prostituting their bodies and they found themselves in a transitional home, men who were on substance abuse and who was trying to find that place of healing so they wouldn't go back to abusing drugs again. I was being used to minister to them. Now, I could have had the mindset, because you can choose, like I said, change your perspective. I could have been so caught up in my own situation that I didn't see the light. I didn't see the blessing in it. I didn't see how, wow, this is helping me achieve my goal. Because what was one of my overarching goals? It was to become a therapist. It was to become a counselor. It was to become a life coach. Well, how can I help somebody else get their life back if I didn't go through some things myself? You understand what I'm saying? I had to get my life back. I had to be like, what's the prophet in the Bible? Ezekiel, when God said, minister to the dry bones. But first, Prophet Ezekiel had to be among the dry bones. He had to be among them. The children of Israel, when they've lost everything, he had to understand what it feels like to start from scratch, to start from level one, to pull yourself out of a rut. He had to understand what it feels like to be stuck, like like Joseph being stuck in the pit, like Jeremiah being in the prison. Somebody had to go through that for you. So to make it easy for you to get to your blessing, maybe I had, matter of fact, it's not a maybe. I had to go through that journey so I can help somebody on here, on Periscope, on the internet, in church, in the street, doing counseling, doing life coaching, that I know what it feels like to have to pull yourself up out of a pit, out of a prison, out of a place called stuck. And so it empowers me more, and it made me more effective. So while I was in the transitional home, God gave me the revelation. I saw it. I said, okay, God, all right, you're going to use this. You're going to use this journey to help propel me. and help empower me from where I'm going. Because you showed me a vision of me helping people. But maybe I need to sit where they sat so I can understand what it feels like to be in that place. It's easy. I'm going to help you get a place called stuck. But you see, I come from the inspirational life coaching point of view that says you may need to be inspired because I can give you goals. But if you're battling with depression, if you're battling with rejection, if you're battling with all that stuff with familial issues that is hard for you to overcome, guess what? You can't go to the next level with that stuff on you. And if you do, it's not going to be as effective and you're not going to be as powerful. You understand? So there's people need to work on those things. So that's why I come in at help you with those things in your journey. Because again, you got to delete the negative. You got to remove the negative. You got to change your environment. You got to change your mindset. You got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you can then you can live out God's perfect will for your life. But you got to deal with these issues. So that opened up, that gave me a vision of what I want to do with the inspirational life coaching. God, I want to deal with those people because everybody, and we need them. Everybody is helping them reach goals and objectives to their goals so they can do what they need to do at the end of the day to produce an outcome. But I want to talk to the individuals who feel like, I see that, but I feel like I can't get there. I feel like I can't reach it. So overarching for them is overwhelming. It's an overwhelming goal. How can I get there? It sounds real good. Do this, A, B, C, and D. But so we got to deal with the internal stuff before we can deal with the external stuff. So that's why I come in at when I come and do my in-home thing. So that's why I'm always talking about that a lot, because I deal with these people every day, trying to help them meet their goals, trying to help them reach the limit. So yourself, if you're in that place right now, I hope that something I'm saying to you is helping to inspire you and to push you, to propel you forward. That's what it's all about, breaking barriers to help you move forward in life. And doing things that you need to do. So I'm going back again. So that was part of my testimony. So God used me at the transitional home. I came out of that. Things started picking up. I went back to school. Now, mind you, I'm still pushing myself because although I lost my place of residency, I went back to school while I was in that transitional home. I got my GED. I got my undergraduate degree, and I got 2 master's degrees. Because I was determined that I was not going to let the devil have the last laugh over my life. I said, there is a plan and purpose. So you know what I did? And you hear this with anybody who's helping you reach a goal. Write down your vision and make it plain. So now we in the book of Habakkuk. Because God tells him to write the vision and make it plain so that it heralds, somebody can run with it and hear about it. You know what? So that's what I did. I wrote down what it is I want to become and what I want to achieve. And the first thing, because don't overwhelm yourself with the overarching goal, but the steps you need to get there. So I needed to write down, I need to finish undergrad. I need to get my GED. I need to get that first. The other goal would be to get my undergraduate degree. But right now, let's get this out the way. Because what I found is that people can become very overwhelmed focusing on the end result. And then they give up and decide, I ain't doing this. This is too much. I give up. And so because I deal with those people, I'm in there pushing. No, we ain't giving up. We ain't giving up. I'm your cheerleader. You are not giving up. So education, I had to do the education piece. I had to educate myself. You can help people. You can be naturally talented and gifted. There's some people who don't have a degree. So it doesn't mean that's your journey. Everybody has their own journey. That what works for you may not work for somebody else. And so understand that. So sometimes people, they'll reach, they have goals that they're trying to reach, and they'll make their journey your journey. Watch out for those individuals because you may be doing something different and unique, and it may be non-traditional or unorthodox, in their eyes, but yet it's your journey. It's the road that you have to take to get to where you are. So don't let people, because people are focused on where you are too. Those other individuals you can't be around. They're focused on where you are. So they don't believe the stuff that you're saying. Don't be around those kind of people. I'm a visionary. So I notice that I'm always attracted to other visionaries because they get it. They get it. They understand the thinking. They understand the thought process that goes into. They understand that you see things. You see the impossible, and so you need people to be on your team who are like that. They see the impossible, and they're going to help you get there. They understand what it takes to get there. So what's my other point? Because I want to cover everything in this blab, because I'll get off here. I'm like, man, I meant to mention that as well. Share. Okay, so I talked about my testimony, and there's other things in it too. Going to cosmetology school, and because I always did hair when I was young, and saying, wow, I want to get my license. I want to be a hairdresser. So it's funny because when you're a hairdresser, counseling go hand in hand, because you get all kinds of people in your seat that just start going off with all their stuff. So, you know, everything worked together. Everything works together. So who would have, okay, so now I want to talk about the things that, you know, you don't know what you're going to encounter. Like, who would have known, who would have thought, I wouldn't even think that I was going to go through a divorce. Like, really? You know, because we had a good marriage, you know, but that's a whole nother show as well, what brought it apart. But it wasn't because we didn't have a good marriage. It's because there was different. My ex-husband went into a whole nother belief system, another religion. And so that brought a lot of division. So it's hard to go in together, you know, when two people are distant and you're believing and you're going, and you can't make people stay. You can't do that. So that was part of my process. Guess what? That was part of my journey. I didn't anticipate it, but I had to encounter it. I had to push beyond that. So that was part of my journey. Who would have known that I would have lost my apartment and deal with homelessness? See, people can help you reach certain goals, but when you get stuck in the season or something happens that you unexpected stuff, what do you do then? You need somebody in your ear. You need somebody in your ear pushing you along the way. And who would have thought I would have encountered the financial hardships that I went through? I didn't foresee that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I had to do what I had to do. And I had to find the people, like, again, that can hold me accountable when I'm going through the process, making sure I take the necessary steps. Question: what have you done in the past that worked for you? I'm not saying you have to answer that, but you can. Things that have worked for you that help you while you was in a journey. And when you was enduring a situation that seemed, it was a dilemma, it was a hardship, and it seemed like it could have took you off your journey towards your goal. What were some of the things that work for you? And another question would be, what are some of the things that don't work for you? You know, this is self-awareness while you're in the journey. What don't work? It don't work being a busybody. Let's talk about that. In everybody else's business. You in everybody else's business except for your own. That doesn't work because you lose focus. You're so busy concentrating on what everybody else is doing and how they're doing it, and you miss your own uniqueness and your own giftedness and your own talent, what you have, what you possess. You miss it because you're focusing, and sometimes that comes from a spirit of low self-esteem and insecurity, because your self-concept, you're worried about what other people think of you. All that garbage. That is garbage. That stuff you got to get rid of. You got to dump that in the dumpster, in the garbage. That is just nothing but weight. So that can be something that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It holds you back. And so you could be in a place called stuck up in your mind. You don't need other people on the outside to stop you and hinder you. You can hinder yourself. So you got to deal with all that stuff. That's self-sabotaging spirit. So that doesn't work. It doesn't. Dealing with the self-sabotaging spirit, examining what are your habits in the journey. See, again, when you're in the journey, it's a learning place. It's a learning institute, let me tell you, because you find out, again, what don't work, what do work. You found out bad habits you got, what you need to deal with. So it's important to examine yourself while you're going through the journey to reaching whatever goals. Examine yourself. What is it in you? Maybe one of your goals is to build healthy relationships. Okay, let's make this actionable and quantifiable. You want to build healthy relationships. Say you want to attract the right man or woman, but you find doing the journey, you're self-reflecting on that journey to forming healthy relationships and building healthy relationships. What am I doing? Okay, let's not focus on everybody else all the time, because it's easy to do that. I keep meeting, and what about you? What are you doing that's bad? What are your bad habits? You know, I remember talking to someone who said that she met a man who gave her some insight, and he let her see that he can see her insecurities and that it was a turnoff. So she at that moment became aware that, wow, I'm wearing my insecurity. Somebody is seeing that. Somebody is reading me. When I step into a room, they already have read me. So it helped her to realize I need to become confident. I need to build up my self-esteem, because if I don't, I'm going to attract the wrong individual. I'm going to attract what I'm like in the journey. So being in the journey is learning about yourself, examining your heart, reflecting, thinking. It's growth. It's growth. You're producing something great at your overarching goal. When you get there, you want to be ready and prepared to propel. You want to be ready. So this is the work that you have to do within yourself. So dealing with that, those are barriers, dealing with barriers that prevent you from reaching your overarching goal. What are the barriers? Again, it could be yourself internally. It could be your alliances, people that you have aligned yourself with that you should not be with. Sometimes people can hinder you. Many times people can hinder you, the wrong individuals, and you need to be aware of that. So you said, I need to get away from this type of people, party. Interacting with unlike-minded individuals, doubters, haters, unbelievers, people who focus on your failures and your mistakes. Anybody who's successful today would tell you that they have made many mistakes and they have failed more than one time sometimes. But it didn't stop them. But understand, see, when you're determined, you embrace the mistakes. I told myself, I embrace the mistakes that I'm going to make. I embrace my failures, because that's part of the journey. How can I learn if I don't make some kind of mistake, failure, whatever it is, or fell short on something, it helps me to grow. And it helps me to teach somebody else. I tried that. It don't work, sweetheart. It don't work, brother. Don't do it. I'm trying to help you not to go down. Don't make it unnecessary. So you can position yourself to be in a place where you can help somebody else not to make an unnecessary mistake that they don't have to make, like parents do every day with their children. I've been here, done that. I'm trying to help you. That's what we do at the end of the day. So you want to become focused towards your purpose and destiny. Examples of sabotages. I talked about being busy, being a busybody in other people's business. Even the Bible warns us about a person who's being a busybody in other people's businesses. We dealt with the spirit of procrastination. Now we're going to talk about the spirit of entitlement. When you're going through the journey, you have to work. We talked about educating yourself, positioning yourself to meet your overarching goal, doing the work internally, externally. But people who got a spirit of entitlement, they just want people to come and do it for them. They don't want to do the work. They're lazy. They procrastinate all the time. And so they find themselves in these endless circles. That's self-sabotaging. That you can't get nowhere with that. You have a spirit of self-entitlement. You think that someone should come and do stuff for you or should give everything to you, and it doesn't work that way. You have to put in work. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in yourself. However, in the beginning, it may be rough. I've been there and I'm still there. There's things I would like to invest in, but maybe I can't afford that right now, but I'm investing where I could afford. That can help me build myself up. And as my base increase, as I increase, as my income increase, let's keep it real. My goal is I want to invest in it because I want quality. I want to produce quality work. So I have to invest in myself, invest in my business. So that brings me to my other point. You have to value yourself. You have to value what it is you're trying to do. My goal is to service people, to help people. I want to be good at that. I got to invest in that. Investing is not only financially, it's educating yourself. It's being under mentors, or maybe just sitting and being a student. You know, a mentor don't have to be somebody that you interact with all the time. It can be somebody you do not know, but you're always following, you're under their tutelage in some kind of way, tutelage. You're following them, you're learning from them, you're gleaning, you're taking notes. Like sometimes we do in church, taking notes, life skills, life coaching. Get those tools when you get those nuggets, grab them, because you don't know what you're going to need. Don't say, again, that ain't for me. It may be for you down the line because you don't know what you're going to encounter. Those people make me nervous. Sometimes you go to a service, you're sitting in church, and folks just think the word is never for them. But you haven't been through everything yet, doll. You don't know what you're going to go through. So don't throw away everything. It may not be for you right now, but it doesn't mean you may not need it down the line. Okay, so don't be so quick to do that. So you can't have a spirit of entitlement. We talked about already the low self-esteem and the poor self-conduct. Now we're talking about the double-minded individual. You're double-minded. You're wavering. You're unstable. The Bible says a person like that is unstable in all of their ways. Even though that text was talking about people who were battling between following the world and being loyal to God, they was double-minded. People don't want to be around individuals like that because you're lukewarm. I don't know if you're for me or against me. That's not a good thing. I'm on pins and needles around that type of individual because I don't know where you lie. I don't know I don't know. And it makes people uncomfortable to be around you. So you need to be hot or cold. Either you're not going to be in it and you just shut down, or you in this thing to the end. And you're willing to do the work. Okay, we can work on that. We can work together. Thanks for joining in, everybody who joined in. So dealing with the double-minded individuals, the Bible says they're unwavering. One of the scriptures, you can find it in is Philippians chapter 1, verse 6-8, where it says, but let him ask in faith with nothing wavering. And we know that when we talk about faith, we're talking about believing. Even though you can't see your goal, even though you haven't reached it yet, you have faith to believe that it's going to come to pass. And right now, this is just a temporary, I'm just going through what I have to go through. I'm going through the process. I'm being pressed. Just like not even back in the days when they're making wine from a fruit. There's the upper part of the pressing machine. That's called I think it's called I can't remember the name right now. The lathe or something like that. And there's the lower part. The upper part of that pressing machine is what presses the fruit. But the bottom part of it is what that receives the fruit that's been pressed. The product, the end result. But it had to go through a pressing period. So everything got to go through a process, some kind of process. If you want quality at the end, if you want your goal to be something that's powerful and effective, it got to go through something. It got to go through a process and a pressing. So don't despise that. Don't, take it in as part of your journey, and it's going to make you better. So it says for that waver. Okay, so ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven like the wind, to and fro, tossed, just back and forth, no direction, no discipline. Also in the journey, you want to produce some discipline because it's going to take discipline to get you to that overarching goal. Hello, somebody. You got to discipline yourself. That's one of your steps. That's one of the things you got to do. Discipline yourself. Put out time you need to focus on your goal. What it is that you need to do. Okay, I need to spend an hour and do some research. I need to spend an hour and focus on whatever it is you're trying to do. Take out that time with whether it's in educating yourself, empowering yourself, being mentored, taking a life coaching session, whatever it is, you have to take out that time. You have to discipline yourself at the end of the day. You can't get around it. You can't get around disciplining yourself. There's another self-sabotager. And I like in the 7th verse, it says, for let not that man think that he shall receive anything from the Lord. Now, yeah, it's talking about the spiritual things, but see, we apply this to our everyday life. The spirit of self-entitlement. Don't think that you should be in a place that you shall receive anything, that you're entitled to stuff. And see, you won't appreciate things in life when you have that mindset, and other people won't appreciate it neither. Because you just think people are supposed to give stuff to you. You're not supposed to work for it or invest in yourself on any kind of level. Think that he receive anything of the Lord. And the last verse in 8, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. So when you are double-minded, that means when you're stuck like that, it's going to affect you in every arena of your life, every area. People will see that double-mindedness. You're indecisive. You're not good you can't make decisions. Like I said, you're neither hot or cold. You're lukewarm. People don't want to work with people like that because they don't know where you lie. You're indecisive. You can't be a good leader when you're so indecisive, because you got to be able to make decisions, and you got to be able to communicate things with clarity as much as possible, and be able and have insight and to see things. And you got to be a problem solver. These are the skills that people look for when they look to hire somebody, or when you want to be a leader. You want to be able to do those things. You want to be able to see things and to make decisions and to give clear thought and communication. It's so important. It's imperative to your growth. And I'm almost at the end, guys. So what are you doing now that will prevent you from achieving your goal? That's a question you need to ask yourself. What are you doing now that will prevent you from achieving your goal? Ask yourself questions as if somebody else was asking you questions. Don't wait for somebody else. Do the work yourself in the journey. What am I doing now? It could be procrastination. It could be, I'm so busy, I'm talking too much on the phone. I'm talking to everybody. So now, see, that's bad too, because you have everybody else opinions in your head. Sometimes you ask too many people too many questions. And so you don't have a vision because you're in everybody else's vision. And somehow their vision became your vision. You got to be careful with stuff like that. So you've lost your whole concept, your whole idea, your whole purpose and goal, because you got too many voices in your head, too many people speaking. So you lost your own identity. You've lost the identity of your goal, what it is you're trying to do. So watch out for that too. Stop being so busy. Don't talk to too many people. You know, follow some people here and there. But even today, when I was following some scopes and I was listening to some great scopes and some people who were giving some good points, I heard their voice. And I knew it was God saying, you know, don't listen to too many voices because I'll become unfocused. You know, so I'll take it. I'm teachable. I'm like, look, help me, Lord, because I don't want to go through another cycle of being a discipline. I didn't pay attention, and now I got to learn the lesson all over again. So I heard it, still small voice. Don't listen to too many people, things that, you know, who are doing things I'm trying to do, because I don't want to lose track. And I want to make sure that I'm still being mindful of the things that I'm trying to do, because you know what? I want to be unique. At the end of the day, I want to be unique. I want you to see, Cheryl, what am I bringing, you know, to what I'm doing? See my own uniqueness in what I'm doing. That's different. You can't stand out if you in everybody else's stuff all the time. So you have to do that. So ask yourself that question. What is preventing you from achieving that goal? Proverbs 6:6. This is something that blessed me. It was a correction from the Father, but it was wisdom. And it was so clear one day. And I've never been an individual in other people's business, but I believe I was busy in my own life, because when you in that place, I mentioned to you that I went through the homelessness and divorce and all these, and I went through certain transitions, and that can kind of take you off course. So because it can take you off course, I know it was God said to consider the ant. I said, God, I heard that before. That's in the Bible. That's scripture. I ran and got my Bible, and I found it in Proverbs chapter 6:6. It's awesome. It said, take a lesson from the ants, you lazy bones. It cracked me up too. Learn from their ways and become wise. Though they have no prince or governor or ruler, hello, they didn't have a spirit of entitlement. They're not waiting for somebody to tell them what they need to do. Yes, you need that push at some point, but nobody's going to be there all the time to hold your hand 24/7. It's just not going to be there. At some point, you have to learn to do things on your own. So take what you need to take and apply it. Though they have no prince, nor governor or ruler to make them work, remember, you got to have a mind to work. They labor hard all summer, gathering food for the winter. They understood that it was going to be a season that they would not be able to labor and to harvest or to plant. So in that season, they had to plant and they had to work. Seed time and harvest time. That's a whole nother that's a good show right there. Seed time and harvest time. They had to be prepared. They had to be positioned so they can reap the harvest. So they had to do the work. So the ant is busy doing their own thing, about their own business, without needing somebody to always micromanage them in what they had to do. So gathering food for the winter. It says, but you lazy bones, how long will you sleep? See, that can be bad too. You being lazy. Now, I don't want to confuse lazy with depression, because with depression, what comes with the spirit of losing interest, and kind of giving up, and you don't have the zeal and the desire anymore. So it's good to be discerning of that, even within yourselves. But then there's the lazy individual. Like I said, I guess that same person would have the spirit of entitlement. They really want somebody to just come and do the work for them. They really don't want to push themselves. They say they want to do, but they're not doing anything to work towards their goal. So you lazy bones, how long will you sleep? When will you wake up? A little extra sleep. Check this out near the end. This blessed my life. A little extra sleep, a little slumber, a folding of the hands, not doing nothing. You just like twiddling your thumbs, okay? Then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you like an armed robber. An armed robber comes up you quickly. So it's saying that poverty, lack will come up on you that way, not because you went through something that was tumultuous, where you had to build, like I did, I had to build myself back up, but because you didn't do the work, because you didn't learn in the journey, and you didn't do what you needed to do, and you kind of gave up, or you kind of waiting for somebody to help you, that don't work. And so now there's scarcity. You have the lack because of that. You're not producing anything because you didn't plant anything. So you're not working towards your goal. So that's the stuff we got to watch out for. Coming down to my last point, I think I kind of covered this: accountability to goal, journaling, writing down your vision, making it plain. Talked about Habakkuk 2:2, where the Lord said to prophet Habakkuk, then the Lord said to me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that a runner can carry the correct message to others. This vision is for a future time. See the vision, write it down, make it plain. You know what? That vision is like a vision board, your tablet, if you will, to remind you of your overarching goal. This is where I'm trying to reach. If you got to put it up on your wall, put it up on your wall. I'm trying to get here. For me, I had a book and I wrote down what I wanted to achieve, from degree to my license to doing things that I'm doing now, to opening my own business, to writing this book. I just wrote it all down in the process it was going to take for me to get there. And I had to go back to the book to remind myself, this is my blueprint. This is what I need to do. Okay, checking off the list. That book helped me accountable. So the vision, writing it down, holds you accountable. There's power in writing. I call it prophetic writing. And I talk about it in my book, Prophetic Writing, because it is powerful. Writing things down. Let me look at it real quick. Prophetic Writing, page 205. Please don't tell me I need glasses. I'm gonna be in denial. Oh, here you go. Page 200 and prophetic writing. I talk about that. Notice that when people are making a business deal or a promise verbally, then they usually say, I want to see it in writing. They want to see it in writing because that's when it becomes more valuable and tangible and real to them, because it gives validity to it, giving validity to it, making it sealed, making it concrete on it. Power of the pencil. So God shared this with me and I wrote it down in my book. So I talk about prophetic writing, giving life to your vision and your dreams, giving birth to it, calling it out. Go back to that vision and call it out, what you want to do. Whatever that overarching goal is, God wants to see it in writing. And you need to see it in writing to make it a reminder and a reinforcement. God tells Habakkuk, after he asked God to demonstrate his power, now you're asking God to help you. So he asked God to help him, asking God to demonstrate his power, that what he needs to, and God says what you need to do is write it down and make it plain. And then I got a little journal in the back here, but you can kind of write down your goals and everything. One of my questions is there something that you desire to do that you can see yourself doing it? Or every time you see someone else doing it, doing what you want to do, you say, wow, I can do that. I know I've done that. I know many of you've done that. And you see yourself doing it, not because you're trying to copy what they're doing. No. But it's something that you have as well, because there's a big world out here. People are doing what you're doing, just that you're doing it differently. You bring your own uniqueness to it. But you know what? You can learn from that individual. But if you ever ask that question, my next one is, anybody want to for people to document their goals, dreams, and their visions? The other question I ask is, why do you see yourself doing this? Why? Why do you see? Again, in the journey, you're finding meaning to your overarching goal. What is the meaning? What is the purpose? Why do you see yourself doing what you see yourself doing in the future? So dealing with that. What's the thing that everybody seems to compliment you on? And you hear that all the time, but it's so true. Something that comes to you second nature. Those are the things that you see in your process while you're going through. Again, you becoming self-aware. And that's something you can write, wow, I'm very good at this. I'm very good at this. What do you feel passionate about that also brings you joy? I got into cosmetology because I love doing hair. I'm artistic. And that's something that I noticed. I like doing things with my hands, my fine motor skills. I like doing hair. I like being creative. And I have a post on my blog talking about therapeutic braiding, because for me, I saw the therapeutic, and it just helping somebody else relax, and you're doing their hair, and you're not, because what happens is, what makes it therapeutic is you're not focusing on yourself, on what you're going through, your situation, and my client is not focusing on them. We sit together, we talk. And I saw this when I went to Africa. I took a trip to Cape Town, South Africa, and I actually went into the villages, and it was so beautiful. I saw people in the villages doing each other's hair. I saw people breastfeeding their baby, just this natural. But I saw the unity and the spirit of community and how it's so empowering. And it's like, wow, when you're helping other people and you're doing something you love to do, it brings you joy. You don't have time to get caught up in a situation. You don't have time for that, because you have a goal that you're trying to reach. Amen. So, and I can go on and on. But anyway, I do want to talk about books. So while I'm here, if you would like my book, it's called Let Me Out. It's on Amazon and it's on Barnes and Nobles. And I really get into finding your identity, not only your purpose in life, but what's your identity in Christ. Life can be so much more peaceful when you understand who you are. You find peace. What gives you joy? What are your passion? What is your passion? Who is adding to your life? Who's depleting value from you? So those are like pertinent things that you need to understand about yourself. But I have a website called letmeout.net, where you can actually go on the website and buy the book Let Me Out. It's a powerful book. I mean, I have people who gave me testimonies and said this book have helped them learn how to forgive people, because unforgiveness is another obstacle that can hold you back from reaching your goals. Is another obstacle. You know, and in that process, like I said, I found out, I was reminded of things that I love to do going through my journey, liking to make things. So I'll talk about that another time, how I made my own product line in that situation of not having my own place. Because it's something I knew that I had in me that I had to get out. That's why I called the book Let Me Out. Let me out. What is lying dormant? What am I not producing? What am I not using that I can be using? Show me. And so sometimes the journey or having experienced some kind of loss actually is a setup for your purpose, for that blessing, because it forces you to go inside yourself and to see those talents and to see what you can actually do. And sometimes you realize, wow, I didn't even know I can do this. Sometimes because you were so busy, maybe you were so busy doing something that you had to have that little setback. And you know, a lot of people have awesome testimonies of how their misery became their miracle, or, you know, however we want to term it. You hear all these phrases, but it's so true. It's so true. And you find out that, you know what, that was what you needed to help you get to that level. But anyway, I can go on and on and on. And I think I actually spoke longer than I wanted to. I think I'm just a little over an hour. But thanks everybody for joining in here. Of just talking about the journey, reaching your overarching goal. It might have been something different than you thought it was going to be, you know, because everybody's talking about the steps towards your goal, and that's all great. But I wanted to just focus on the journey of it all, and in the middle of it all, and how you get from that middle point to the end point, and all that you have to overcome and endure in the middle of it, and things that you need to do to help you stay in the fight and not give up. Because the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Races are not given to people just because they swift and they fast. The battle is not always given to the person who seems the strongest. Because guess what? When you're going through the battle, it makes you, when you're able to endure in the journey and you stay in it, it will make you strong. So it's not given just to the strong. You understand? It's enduring those things. And when you have endured those things, you will become that strong person. you'll become that strong individual. So I'm going to close now. Thanks for joining in. I hope this was a blessing to somebody. You are welcome to watch the replays. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. You guys have a good night. Tune in again. And I'm believing that me and my co-host Michael will join. We'll do a blab on Saturday at 6 o'clock, which is our normal time, usual time that we do our broadcast on giving you life coaching tips, inspirational life coaching tips and insight. You never know what's going to come through our broadcast. But at the end of the day, we just want to be a blessing to other people. So you guys have a good night, and thank you for joining in.